the $1 Million Mortgage Experience podcast.
All right, welcome to this episode. We are here with Ubaldo Leon, also known as Skooter.
Hi.
He is a branch manager at CrossCountry Mortgage. He's a top 1% mortgage professional in the nation, recognized for delivering superior mortgage solutions. Welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. This is super fun and exciting. You've been doing this a while, so I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I think our 100 and something 30th or episode.
Oh my God,
so
congratulations. It's
thank
a lot
you.
of work.
Yeah, but it's fun. I get to meet people and learn a lot about people's businesses and stuff, so
Yeah.
it's cool.
Hey.
Tell us how you got into the industry.
Oh gosh, it was by accident. Nobody wants to be a mortgage broker when they wake up as a kid. Like,
No.
I think I wanted to be a paleontologist or something, but then I realized they don't make much money. And so I went to LA with a dream, and I sing.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to be a singer. I was training with Roger Burnley, who trained like Macy Gray and Brandy and a few others. And then I realized how hard it was going to be.
Yeah.
But upon arriving in LA, like I didn't have a job. I didn't have anywhere to live. Friend of a friend was like, hey, you can live with me. And then my rent was half of the money I had. I had $2,000 to my name.
Wow.
And so that was gone. I sat down. There was an ad in the back of the paper. I answered the ad just to practice my interview skills. Went to this job fair at the airport, and they were like, we love your sales skills. Will you come? And I was like, I don't have anything to do Monday. I'll go practice my interview. So then I show up, they give me the job, and I'm like, well, I don't know much about interest rates. And they're like, that's okay, we'll train you. And then my training, I promise you this, was a little VHS tape in the bottom of a small television, a yellow pad, and a 10 by 10 room. They closed the door for 3 days. And on the third day, I was put in cubes and had to call out of the phone book to get people to give me their social security numbers.
Phone books.
So hard.
Like
yeah.
the white pages. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I realized, oh, I can get all these licenses and accreditations and grow my brand and, you know, be my own entrepreneur, which is what I always wanted. And so it just took off from there. Now here I am 22 plus years later.
So that was 22 years ago.
Yeah.
So you've been through some cycles.
Yes.
The 2008 crash. That was fun.
Yeah, it was a learning lesson for a lot of people. You know, you got to have savings, and you've got to be able to weather the storm and a downturn and invest in that downturn because you have those savings.
Yeah.
You know, so
would you learn the lesson, or did you already know?
Oh, 75% of what I make goes away immediately. Like,
nice.
I don't even see it, but don't tell my husband. So yeah,
he's gonna see this.
I know. Sadly,
you're in trouble.
Totally fine.
So you work with a lot of realtors in Hollywood, right? Or
everywhere.
Selling Sunset is something you kind of involved in?
Yeah,
Talk
I'm
about
licensed in 9 states personally, but we lend in all 50. So depending on needs that arise, our team, we just take care of everybody.
Okay.
But yeah, my career started in the west side of LA. And so I work with a lot of realtors that have been on prominent shows, like so Selling Sunset, shout out to MJ, $1 Million Listing, shout out to Tracy Tudor. It's fun, but also the same, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to be a fly on the wall in everybody's life, whether they're on one of those shows, an agent that's just starting out, or, you know, a client that's buying their first home. It's just, it's nice to do, you know?
Yeah. And you've done a lot of big loans, right? I mean,
Yes.
That's kind of your specialty.
Yeah, I mean, people come to me with the hard stuff, which I love because after 22 years, you know, things get mundane and you love the puzzles and the challenges and okay, how do we put our thinking caps on and work through this? My whole team will kind of have a round table discussion and like figure out a loan file. And so I really like those challenges. The realtors don't know that. They just come to me with things that, oh God, this is falling out. I need help. Can you do it? Or like something's falling out with somebody else in their office. And, you know, they're like, oh, Ubaldo, he's amazing. Yower Charlie does that for me all the time.
Nice.
Shout out to Yower. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So you've obviously earned a reputation kind of around these harder loans, these jumbo loans. What's some of the things that's led to that, earning that reputation? Just being able to get it done, or what else is?
I think tenacity and heart, believing in your client and understanding that this is a huge deal for them.
Yeah.
And to many people in our world, especially those of us that have been around a long time, I'm sure you've noticed that there's like a lack of sensitivity.
Yeah.
It's just another transaction for them, right?
Very transactional.
So, yeah. And it's sad because what I tell my clients is like, when you close with us, you're stuck with us forever. I'm sorry to say.
You're not getting rid of us. Yeah.
Yeah, no, forever. And so knowing that relationship is a long one and that this is so important to them kind of helps you to not be desensitized, whether it's a large loan or a small one. And I think that tenacity and that connection to them helps when you're trying to get the hard stuff done, because when I'm fighting a head of credit or somebody that I need to push in order to get a common sense exception done, many major banks like your Wells Fargo's and Chase's and things like that, they're like, nope, they don't fit in my box. We're done, you know? But when you can get people through conversation and passion to talk from a common sense perspective and come to the table with you, like Fund has been able to do time and again, it's a game changer, and people appreciate you so much more, your clients, your real estate agent partners, and it's just a win-win for everyone. You know?
Good. Yeah, I like that. And I heard recently somebody say that there's 3 levels of what it takes to be successful. And first is someone who's interested, right? You're just interested in your job.
Yeah.
You're not doing much. But then the second level is committed. You're committed to your job, and you're committed to, because you're there, you're committed. Yeah. And the third one is obsessed. You're obsessed with what you're doing, your work, and what it takes to be successful is being obsessed with what you do. And that means you're up late, you're calling people back, you're figuring out ways to get it done, even when it's you keep getting obstacles and stuff like that. So sounds like you're obsessed with the mortgage business.
Oh, always. And I'm hyper competitive, so that's worse.
Yeah.
I mean, when someone tells me I can't do something, I don't see that as no, I see that as my next challenge,
That's good. Yeah.
And so I think it's important to kind of exist in that space, especially when you're taking care of people's investments,
Yeah. So that's what brings people back for sure.
100%.
What about non-QM loans? What's your thoughts on that?
Best thing ever.
Yeah.
Non-QM is what we needed in this market to kind of inject that common sense, because after the crash in 2008, to kind of go back to that, there were a lot of loans that were being underwritten that shouldn't, stated income, stated asset.
Sure.
No income, no job, no asset. We called it the ninja loan,
No job, yep.
Yeah, negative amortization loans, like so many things that were really risky products.
Yep.
But when that happened, they didn't just pull those products off the shelves. They pulled off also the common sense non-QM product.
Correct.
And went straight to just cookie cutter, our box or no box, right?
Right.
And so
it's really blocked out a lot of the self-employed people, just the alt doc stuff that, people that are entrepreneurs, they can't fit into that W-2 box, which is what Fannie, Freddie, Govy is all about.
You're so right. And so like FundLoans becoming a pioneer to reintroduce such an important product to the market. We have that self-employed person, to your point. They're super smart. They've got a super smart accountant who's also our referral partner. They've written off the moon and the stars because they're trying to keep Uncle Sam out of their pockets,
right?
Which is something we all do if we're intelligent. However, they go to qualify for the loan and they can't now, So when we do like a bank statement loan for that individual, it's common sense in a documented way, right? Because you can see the cash flow, you can see they have the ability to make their payments. And it's actually more of a positive because then they're a savvy business person as well. Right.
You get to look all the way deep into all their spending.
Yes.
Where you don't get to do that when you're doing W-2s. It's like, we don't really know what they're spending all their money on, but you can see it in their bank statements. For sure.
And a lot of times it's reinvestment into their own business, which is only going to earn more income, you know? So, but in order to have that understanding, you have to open your eyes, and Fund did a great job of opening their eyes in that non-QM community. And what I've seen is a lot of other people like, oh, now we can do it too, but they don't do it the same way. Their response times aren't as quick. They don't work through problems the same way, where the underwriters will pick up the phone and call you. Like it makes a huge difference, especially when you're only allocated 30 days or even shorter sometimes to close.
Right. So your biggest loan with us was $7.5 million.
Yep.
How long did it take to close that?
Oh, that one was pretty good. It was like a couple months.
Yeah.
It was, and that wasn't on us. It was that they wanted to have a longer close.
Yeah.
It was super intricate. It was super fun, super challenging. There was laughing and crying and all the things in between. But this particular client is a client of ours forever and ever now, because in fact, they're looking for a house now. So you're going to get another loan. But
bigger house.
Bigger house. So
they're doing well.
Yes. They actually cashed out like a couple $1 million in additional equity over the sales price. And now they're doing some other movement of their portfolio around. So that's why we're going to have multiples.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, but them, we had multiple entities. We had primary borrower who was in New York and in a different time zone, and his team in LA working on documents and things for us. So there was always like a very difficult time wrangling or herding all the cats and communicating at the same time, which was a challenge for the team. But my team works 24 hours a day because one of my assistants is in Australia.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it helps though in situations like that where we have people that are traveling for business into Europe or wherever, because no matter what time of day or night, there's a live person.
Right.
And a lot of times when you're emailing, a person can answer a question, but that makes another question, right?
Yeah, true.
And so that time responding in different time zones, day over day or day after day, is going to tack onto your transaction. And then your realtors are upset because why isn't this closing on time? And they don't care. They don't understand the back end.
They don't care about all of the problems. They just want to know when it's closing.
Right.
How are you going to get through those problems? Yeah.
Results. That's all they care about.
Results.
So
that's how they get paid.
Yes. Yes.
For sure. Talk about challenges. What's your biggest challenge right now? I know the rates are still high, but like anything that you want to share?
My biggest challenge is 1000% educating. And the reason it's educating more than ever is because this market with the rates being higher is an amazing thing. It's so good for buyers out there, right? There's so much less competition. You know, a year and a half ago, we'd see multiple offer situations with 16 offers on one property. Right. Going 200, 300 over ask. Yeah. And so the gift here is like, yeah, maybe the interest rates are a little bit higher. Let's be egregious and say you're going to spend $1,000 more a month in your payment, right? Because of the rates. Let's multiply it over 12 months. Next year, we're expecting rates to be lower. So you spent $12,000 more on that property. That may be a $3 million property or, you know, in interest, right?
Yep.
However, that same $3 million property, next year when rates fall, all those people step back into market. They compete against one another. That $200,000 or $300,000 over asking happens. And would you rather spend the $12,000 in extra interest or the extra $200 or $300?
Yeah.
Right?
That's good.
And your tax basis is higher.
Right.
So now, that being said, I have to give that message to clients without sounding like a salesperson, right?
Yeah.
So
more of
being
an educator, more of a consultant.
Yeah. Like a family member that's like, wake up, this is the time, let's go do it, you know? And so I would say that's my biggest challenge because bringing those people to the table is so important because it also helps my realtors because they're not pulling their hair out trying to get an accepted offer, driving to 30 properties for one client, you know?
Right. So that's good. Yeah. I think education and just really, I mean, I would always come across those people that would complain about the interest rate, right? And because they were self-employed, they'd always say, you know, should I just pay all this tax so I can get a better interest rate? And I'm like, do you want to do the math with me real quick?
Yeah, literally.
Let's just add this up. How much tax you're going to pay and then how much more in interest you're going to pay. And that always was better to just bite the bullet, take a little bit higher rate, be thankful that you saved all that money on taxes and, you know.
And time and again, when clients that are self-employed call me and they already went and pre-approved with the Wells or B of A or whoever, that person, I always tell them, like, that person that's at that desk can only qualify you for the products that they have, right?
True.
I can go to FundLoans, right? And I can say, okay, guys, like, this is what we're dealing with. It's common sense. I don't need to tell you to claim an extra $300,000 on your tax returns and have you pay whatever tax bracket you're in taxes so that you can qualify for my loan, right?
Yeah.
I can go to Fund and say, this is what we've got. Can you guys get it done? Great. That's awesome. And to your point, let's say the interest is $1,000 more a month. Okay, I'm paying $12,000 over that year versus $50,000 more in taxes.
Right.
Like, those people at the major banks and places that don't have your product, the non-QM, don't talk about that because they don't have it to give,
right?
You know? And that's whenever you're in a market, you're a realtor, you're a mortgage broker, you own a bank, it's all about differentiation. And that is something that you guys have carved out nicely, and I love that.
Thank you. We appreciate your business. So
sure. I'm a fan.
Missed opportunities in today's market that you see brokers missing?
I think I see a lot of brokers. Are you on the mortgage side or the real estate side?
Mortgage brokers.
On the mortgage side, it's being students of their own profession. Every time market changes, no matter what it is, we have to reinvent ourselves. I equate that to like a Madonna. Like every time the era changed, she turned into a different person, right?
New music,
Yeah, same with us. So like now we're using temporary buy down products. And, you know, a lot of people in my industry still don't even know how to talk about that with a client.
Right.
And it's a shame But being a student of their profession would help them in such a profound way in being able to bridge those gaps, you know?
And there's a lot of resources. I mean, back when I was in the business early, when I first got in, there was no YouTube. You couldn't go and follow someone on social media and learn from them or watch podcasts. Like that didn't exist. So you just kind of like had to figure it out on your own. But now there's no excuse for people to not have, you know, education and really investing back into their profession. Like you said, that's very, very good point.
Yeah. And a lot of times they're not even reaching out to their client base, right?
Yeah, true.
You've got to always be in contact with them because their rates may be higher right now. They may not want to refi, but do they want to build their portfolio and pick up another property? You know, if you called them and had a conversation about the markets like we just went over with less competition and all that, they may say, oh my God, that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and work on a pre-approval to get another one, you know? But unless you have that contact with your clients, you'll never know. And then somebody else has called them and you've lost that client, you know?
Seriously,
So I think complacency and thinking, oh, the rates are high, I'll just take a break until they come down. So.
Yeah, the same thing kind of happened with people when the second mortgage business, we launched our first bank statement second. We were the first one.
We use it all the time. I love it.
It's so good. And I remember brokers were like, I don't want to do a second. The loan commission's so small. It's so much work. But, you know, during that time, other people did it and they took that borrower off the table from, you know, stole that client. And then now they get to, you know, work with them on their other properties or, you know, when the rates come down, they can consolidate the two. But people just didn't want to invest in just doing all that work for the second, you know?
And that's what I told my team because my team is like, oh my God, this is taking more time. And I'm like, listen, this is about servicing the client. It doesn't matter the money that we're making. Our relationship is a commitment to them, right? And so if we say, oh no, that's too small of a loan, I don't want to do it or whatever it is, like, then they're like, well, who are you? Like, you know what I mean? I thought you were in this for life. Like, what happened, you know? So you have to be there for them. Or even things like not even a HELOC, like they're calling you because their statement didn't come in the mail or they need that closing statement that they can't find for taxes or whatever it is.
True.
I tell my team, we need to get that out and make it just as important as the loans in process because we care about them and we want them to know that, you know?
Right. So
it doesn't matter if it's a HELOC or anything like that. I love your HELOC. Your second for bank statements is clutch. It's the best. We just closed one last week. But yeah, it's like something that you really have to instill in your team and your culture. So.
Right. Yeah. And then you can keep that low rate first and then get them the cash they need, tap into that equity. Cause that's been a big problem, I think, for a lot of loan officers. They've realized that they kind of screwed themselves over by giving all their clients the lowest rate possible, which they never can touch again because the rates aren't going to, who knows if they'll ever come down that low again. But it's like, now what do? But they need to think outside the box, do seconds, find other properties, tap into that cash and
build the portfolio, client. You know? So we build the portfolio for them. And sometimes they need to let go of that rate because they've got XYZ things and their blended rate is way lower. Right. So there are situations where you can let go of the rate, but there are also situations where if you say to them, and even if they tell you, I want to refi, right? Say to them, listen, you've got this second here, it's at this, but if I refi the whole thing and consolidate them, that's going to be doing you a disservice. Why don't we do this instead? And then we can pick up this other property or we can do whatever. They're going to love you so much more and tell all their friends about you because it's about trust. And it's the long game. It's the bigger picture to your point from earlier, you know? So
the long game is so important.
Yeah. So we always try to find them the best rate. And sometimes we need to go bank statement, but then the next year they're not going to be able to hide all their income. So then we can go ahead and refinance them to conventional and just continually like get them lower and lower. So there are still those opportunities.
Talk about marketing. What do you guys do for marketing?
I don't do anything.
No.
I'm terrible at it. Like I have my social media people and that was like begrudgingly put in place because I'm terrible at all of that. But I think it's important to have a footprint in this world in today's day and age online. And so that was something that we've implemented, but I don't pay for marketing. I don't do ads and all of that.
You don't buy leads?
No, I don't buy leads at all. I've never bought leads. I don't believe in that. I think your work speaks for itself. If you do a good job, people are going to tell you or tell other people about you, right?
Word of mouth, and that's the best referral ever.
1,000%. And then it's somebody that actually wants to talk to you, as opposed to somebody you bought the lead, 25 people have called you before them. They want to literally get a new cell phone by the point that you call them, and you know, it's just an angry person. Like, nobody wants that energy in their life, you know?
True. Do you, what's like the optimal time? Do you ask them for more business, or do you like when you close a loan, there's missed opportunities. I think a lot of brokers, when they close a loan, they just get their check and they don't, follow back up.
Yep.
Do you have a system where you kind of get more referrals out of clients that you close?
1,000%. So we're going to be touch pointing those people. Obviously there's the funded email, and the very last, I tell them congratulations, your loan's funded, blah, blah, blah. And then I say, P.S. if you have any friends or families or coworkers looking to purchase a property, I'm always happy to talk to them. So there's that little seed planted. Then there's follow up on their first payment date. Okay, your first payment's going to be coming. Like, just want to make sure you got the things in the mail, this, that, and the other. If they didn't, we get it for them. And then there's like periodic follow ups after that are always value based. You never want to reach out to somebody just because you feel like you should, and you're annoying. Like, hi, do you want a refi? No, I don't want to do anything, right?
Right.
But if you're giving something to them of value, for example, tax time. Everybody needs their closing statement.
They do, yeah.
We have a full-on little thing that goes out every tax time. We proactively send them a copy of their closing statement. We CC the realtor on there that we close that transaction with, so that they know that we're taking care of their clients even after the fact.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think it's important that they know that, they didn't just care about closing with me. They're still here. They're still there, So
out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah.
So you got to keep in touch. It's really good. I'm a big believer of failures and how they lead to success. And we all go through failures.
Yes.
And there's always, sometimes the outcomes are not good, but you learn from them, you become better. Talk about any failures you've had, maybe one that stands out that's kind of led to something great.
I know this is going to be weird and cliche, but like, all failures are a good thing.
Yeah.
That old saying, if it's good, it's great. If it's bad, it's just an experience. First of all, I'm highly competitive, like I mentioned. And so I always am striving for everybody to be super happy. And this process should be fun and exciting. And, sometimes we can't help the underwriters ask on things. And so we have to manage that in a special way. And your choice of words and what you do, it all matters, because it can set somebody who's already stressed out off. Even if they're the kindest person on the planet, they're draining their bank account, they're moving their kids maybe, they're fighting over furnishings with their spouse, everything, right?
Just having a bad day, maybe.
Ultimate stressor, right? So then you call them and say, okay, now the underwriter wants an explanation on XYZ, la, la, la. And they're like, they're just already at a breaking point, even though that's a mundane request to you, right?
Right.
And so putting on your therapist hat, and anytime like something bad happens, like a team member uses a choice of words that sets somebody off, right? Or you just miss something on a transaction, right?
Right.
I always tell my team, I don't care whose fault it is, but what did we learn? And more importantly, what are we implementing so that doesn't ever happen again, right?
Yep.
Because unless you can talk about it till the cows come home, but unless you actually have an action item that happens after that, nothing will ever change. So whatever kind of professional you are, whether you're in real estate or something else, you're always kind of like learning and growing, and maybe the changes get smaller as your career grows, because you've just gotten better over time, but it's always there, and it should be always there if you care.
That's good. So you've obviously been successful. Talk about some life hacks that you'd use to continue being motivated, things that you do to keep optimistic and
This
positive.
week has been tough, I'm not going to lie. Trying to do all my loans and I had 4 events happen in a 7-day period, hosting lots and lots of people. And so doing that, and then keeping your work, and, also growing your sphere of influence is really difficult. And, sometimes it's your spouse that checks you and says, hey, like, can you be present for just this,
Yep.
And sometimes it's them having to have an understanding that you're looking to grow beyond for your benefit, right? And so having the communication and the closeness with your spouse to say, listen, I've got to work late because we're having a refi boom. I'll be on till 11 p.m. Not that I want to be on my computer, but I need to. We got to lock all these people before rates change, right?
Yep.
So can you bathe the girls and put them to bed and all of that? Like, having that support network is really important, whether it's a spouse or a family member, anybody. Then secondarily, taking care of yourself,
Yep.
I always have, like, it's weird. I brush my teeth at the same time every day. I get out of bed, I eat the same thing. But part of that routine is the gym. Every morning, without fail, before the phone starts ringing,
Yep.
I have to go to the gym, because it's not a vain or vanity thing where, I want to look a certain way. it's a mental cleanse for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then an intentionality where I set my intentions for the day. Okay, this is what I want to accomplish. And when you're working out or when you're alone, it could be a walk. It could be, you could be doing yoga. It doesn't matter,
Sure.
right? Whatever your thing is, make that time for yourself in that space mentally.
Yep.
Because then once things are organized, you execute so much better.
Yep.
So for me, it's the gym. And I would say that helps to keep a work-life balance, because if you don't do that, then you are working later,
Yeah, for sure.
and then you don't have your family time,
Mm-hmm.
reading the books to the kids or whatever it is,
Yeah,
So,
which goes by so fast.
yeah.
How old are yours?
Oh God, I have a 3-year-old. She's going to be 3 in February. And then I have a 1-year-old. She's going to be 1 in March. So,
I have twins that are now 19.
oh my goodness.
Boy, girl, yeah.
Best piece of advice as a father.
It's crazy. Just, it goes by so fast, so enjoy every minute of it.
Okay.
And don't let it, just do as much as you can with them, because
Okay.
it goes by fast. But now, I mean, you put the time out, like, how the people say, choose your hard.
Yeah.
Like, you can choose your hard now, or you can choose your hard later.
Mhm.
So, if you put that effort in early, then later on, it's not as hard. It's harder now with kids because you're doing all that stuff, and you're putting all that effort in. But
Yeah.
when they get older and they grow up, they want to be around you. That's like the
Mm-hmm.
best thing that you could ever want.
And you've influenced and raised the kind human in the process.
Yeah, and it's hard because you don't want to be strict. You don't want to be disciplinary or like make consequences. I'm a big believer in you have to have consequences for actions.
Same.
Because
Yeah.
they will learn that, there's no consequences. And they become worse.
Oh, and they test you.
Oh, they do.
I'm sure the teenagers test you, but like
Yeah.
the 2-year-old, she's like, I'll literally be like, baby, like, you have to do this. Like, we were on a first class flight once and she kept taking her seatbelt on, and it was just me traveling with the 2 girls alone. And she knew, because she's so smart, that I couldn't raise my voice in first class with her.
Right.
And she literally looked over at me with these mischievous eyes and just goes, click. Like, what are you going to do now? I was like, oh my God, you're literally 2 years old. What is going on here?
Sassy.
Yeah. And I couldn't do anything. That was the hardest part of that, So, yeah.
That's funny.
I feel like there's going to be a lot more of those moments.
There will be. Yeah, there will be. And you're going to screw up. You're going to fail. But just being there and always, coming back and letting them know you're there, just like you are with your clients.
Yeah.
I think it's like a garden, right? You just gotta nurture it and water it and get it sun and spend time and put in the hard work.
And the guilt is real too. Like whenever you're not with them, you're like, I'm terrible. And even though you're not, like you just are, I gotta hurry up and do this so I can go, so.
Yeah. I think just being like caring, right? And being obsessed about them too is good. You know, thankfully I have a wife that's very obsessed with our kids. So
I love that. That's
good.
me in our relationship.
Yeah.
And my husband's great. He's, really like, he's a doctor and very pragmatic, and I'm very feeling. And for him, like, he's like, okay, I spent time with him. Now what do I do? Like, you know what I mean? And,
check the box.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, they don't have the petticoat for under their dress. What are we going to do? Everything's going to fall apart. Like, it's like the stressor, So.
Absolutely. That's a joy. But it's what wakes me up in the morning, makes me do all the things I do. The success I want to have is all, for them.
That's your why.
Yeah, it's my why for sure. Any other habits you have for success and happiness?
I think that, success, writing things down. I know that people have like notes in their phones and this and that, but I have an old school, just like when I started mortgage with my yellow pad, right next to me on my computer. And every morning after I get back from the gym, I'll sit down with my coffee and I'll just kind of go through the things that I want to accomplish. And I write them down to get them out of my head. Because if too many things are swimming around in your head,
right,
life gets tough, right?
Yeah.
But when
you
they're
forget
written
stuff,
down,
then you have anxiety about it and stress. Yeah.
And then that realtor calls you. Oh, what happened to this? Oh crap! Let me get that to you. Like then you're on you're working in a reactionary mode.
Yep.
And you need to be proactive. So I think that writing things down, and then I have a little system of like, okay, if I've worked on it and waiting for a response, I'll circle the little dash that I wrote next to it. If it's done, I'll check it off. Then at the end of the day, you look back at your list. And there's also this weird tangible, because nothing in our world is tangible anymore, sense of accomplishment that's there. So mentally,
do you like crumple it up and then toss it, or
I actually keep them all. It's really weird. Like I have notebooks, and I'll like go back sometimes and like when I'm cleaning out my office and look at them and like, oh my gosh, like I've come so far. Like it's almost like an inadvertent journal,
Yeah, for sure.
So,
it's interesting looking back on calendars too. You ever do that? Like I've done that when I was like looking back on a year and just looked at all the different things that you did and reflecting on kind of the year. And it's an interesting process because you just forget, like I met with this person, had coffee with this person, I did this. And then you can kind of reflect and like, oh, that was an interesting year. You just forget stuff. But writing down is great. I have a little notes in my phone, and I do voice memos.
Yeah, or like some people use the to-do app. Whatever works for you.
I like the to-do app.
Yeah, I get tasked that with my husband. Like it's like, you didn't log in today. You need to do. I'm like, ugh. So like it's when you like to go back to your calendar thing, when you remind yourself of where you've been, you're also not so hard on yourself. You know, and I think that's really important for us because it's already stressful. Yep. And we don't even have anyone to really talk about that stress with. Like our partner is not going to understand like loan nuances and stuff like that. They just know that you're in a bad mood, right? Yeah. And so, and not even that, but like you get off the phone all day, you don't want to talk about it, you know? Right. So I think that having that list and that little bit of accomplishment is a mental, like, I did do a bunch of stuff today. Like I'm good. Like
I'm not a loser.
Yeah, seriously. And I also have like these little alarms or reminders that go off in my calendar that I set. Like one of them is when I started out years and years ago. It's a monthly thing, $350 for investments. That was the budget I gave myself to put away every month. And that's where I started, just because I knew I wasn't making much, but I could put something away.
Yeah.
And it comes up
and
every month.
Bitcoin and now it's worth millions.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes up and it reminds me like, wow, that was a lot to me then. You know what I mean? And there's another one that says, wake up. Like literally every day. Really? And I'm already been awake for like 2 hours at that point. But like, I'm like, it's a reminder that I literally was trying to set this intention, this habit back in the beginning to try to get to where I am.
So you just kept it on
your
calendar.
It's an accomplishment. And it's a little reminder every day that I accomplished something so small and mundane, but it's so important to being successful.
That's good. What about gifts?
Gifts. I love to give gifts. That's my love language. Okay. And so I'm somebody that if I won't give a gift unless it's super thoughtful, like I'm not going to be running into some last minute place and give a gift. I'd rather tell them it's coming. You know? Yeah. And so for me, I love to give experiences and things that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise thought of, like last week I rented out an entire movie theater and we did a screening of Wicked.
Really?
Yeah. And I had my chosen family, my friends, my realtors that I love, like they were all there. And we got everybody like witch hats and crowns. So they got to figure out if they're going to be an Elphaba or a Glinda. And I dressed up with the kids. I was Oz, of course. And Lily was Elphaba and Charlotte was Glinda. But like having those fun experiences, like, okay, yeah, maybe they want a pair of Chanel earrings, but they're not going to smile as much as having an experience like that with their children. Yeah, they all brought their kids and it was fun.
Those are good memories for sure.
So I like to do weird stuff like that.
Christmas and all that stuff. Like you get these gifts and then it doesn't have as much meaning.
It goes in a closet somewhere. They may not even want that. So it just gets regifted. Right. But, and another thing is like, when you come from that place where you actually care and you've put thought into it, they see that, they know it. Right. And they know how difficult that is, especially when you have such a busy life and it means that much more to them.
That's cool. How much did it cost to rent out the theater?
Oh God, I think I ended up spending like $4,000 by the end of it all.
Did you have to get all the seats?
Give you a food and beverage minimum. Yeah, the whole theater. Like, I think there were like 50 seats. So
that's cool. Was it like at a one of those where they have the recliner seat? Yeah, nice.
Yeah, the recliner, and then we had a full like food spread, and like it was just fun. I had like little Squashmallow toys that there were like all the characters: Glinda, Elphaba, the Flying Monkeys, and the Cowardly Lion, and I would like dressed as Oz. I'm in there, like and the little kids in the theater, like I would stand behind their chair and I would just toss it over, and then they would this like cool thing would fall out of nowhere, and they look back with the biggest smiles, and like people seeing that joy and that happiness. That's the gift, That's cool. So we get so into our lives and routine every day that we forget, what am I working for? Like, what's the point in earning all this? I can't take it with you. I've got enough for my legacy, for my babies, but like,
yeah, for sure.
What am I doing for the people around me?
So I'm big on traveling. I love new countries. I'm one of those weird country counters.
Where's your favorite? Oh my God, my husband does that. His dream is to go to every single country
really
in the world. Yeah, I think he's at like 160 something right
Really?
now. Yeah, I'm at
My
72.
mom is like over 130 and she's
So
obsessed
crazy.
with it.
Yeah.
And she does it on the cheap, but like she just gets it done and does it.
Yeah.
So she gave me the bug and I'm at like 53 now.
Oh my
I
gosh.
Just was in Scotland. It was really cool for Thanksgiving.
I want to go there. I've never been. I'm looking forward to going, but
It's
it's too cold for me right
It's
now.
cold. Yeah, I was like, especially I'm like when we were leaving, I looked at the weather and it was like 75 here in San Diego and I was like, I went to like 40-degree weather. I'm like, what am I doing? But it was an
I'm
amazing
punishing myself by
experience.
going on vacation. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm paying to do this.
It was a cool experience though. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think doing stuff like that create memories. It's like you said, we can't take the money with us.
Yeah.
You got to create, experiences and do
Even
stuff
things
that
are
matters.
bad. It
Mhm.
may suck in the moment. We did a trip to Madagascar once,
Oh wow,
and that's a rough travel. That's
a
tough.
long travel. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm big on the environment and animals, and
Mhm.
I want to see. My thing is that I want to see these endangered species and habitats before they're gone. You
Yeah.
know, and so one of our trips was Madagascar, and we're taking these puddle jumpers like to each of the national parks, and the first thing is you see all these fires on the horizon. You're like, what? Why are they burning down the forest? Like, what's going on here? And the guy was like, well, the natives believe that if you burn the forest, the clouds will create rain.
Mm.
And we've had scientists come in and tell them that's not true, but they won't believe Western culture. And they just keep burning down the habitat. I'm like, that is so incredibly sad.
Wow.
So you see things like that, or like, so then, we get there, we're in the lodge and there's no air conditioning. It's on a generator. There's like one little drip of water because everyone tries to shower in this 2-hour period that you can.
Mhm.
And like, literally you're just like this, like you like will stick to yourself if you like,
Mhm.
And so it was brutal in the moment, but now it's such a fun story that we tell people,
Yeah.
So you're right. Those experiences that you have are more important than anything else. Somebody can take away from you whatever material possession you
True.
have, but
Yep.
they can't take your experiences away,
Good point. That's so good. You were gonna. So do you have any client stories? I love hearing like your favorite client or your like something that happened that was interesting that might.
I should write a book.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah, you should.
It's fun because we get to be on a little fly on the wall, like I was saying, in their lives for that 30 days or 45 days or however long it is. And when you play the part of therapist, which we often do because people get emotional and
Yeah.
rightfully so, they trust you with a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I've called clients before and she'll be like, hold on, I'm sitting on the floor naked, blow drying my hair. 1 second. I'm like, okay, we're there now. Or like this other time I was doing a client for a celebrity, which will go unnamed.
Mm-hmm.
And we are doing a loan because they're separating.
Mm-hmm.
And he was buying the ex-wife off the property. And I think you guys probably even did this loan. They were buying the ex-wife off the property, but with the value and loan, there was like a shortage of like 200 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the parents, who are also celebrities, were going to kick that in to make her whole and let them both go on their merry ways. Well, turn on TMZ and he's in the middle of the street. He just punched her new hot trainer boyfriend in the throat.
Oh, shoot.
So I'm like, great, that's fun. I knew I'd be getting calls. The parents decided that they weren't going to gift the money unless each of them wrote a letter to one another stating that they were going to be great parents to their grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And so here I am helping them draft letters to one another. No, you can't say that. This is the way you should put that because here's what you really mean, right?
Right.
And I'm like thinking in the back of my head, like, this is not in my job description.
You can't train for this.
No.
There's
And
no
so,
loan officer for dummies like book that talks about that.
Yeah, and you can't talk about it in the moment. You've got to be extremely private, which I am. It's funny, like, well, I'll even be doing loans for like some of our best friends, and we'll close, and a week later they're having a housewarming, and they're like, my husband's name is Jason. They'll be like, oh my God, Skooter was so great, la la la. And he's like, I didn't even know you guys were buying a house.
Right.
And they're like, you didn't tell him? I'm like, that's not my business to tell. It's yours.
Private, yeah.
So in the moment, I couldn't say anything, but I was dying inside,
Yep.
And I think experience like that are like the fun part,
Yeah, makes it good. Because this job isn't, well, I think non-QM creates more fun in this business. When I got into it, I started out in subprime. And subprime was
same.
Definitely more interesting than, and it was more thankful than just your cookie cutter Fannie Mae stuff, right? So
because the other people turned him down. They couldn't
Right.
go anywhere.
yeah.
And then
More
all of a sudden
grateful.
you pulled it off and they're like, you're my guy forever, you know?
Right.
So
And you can give them a little advice on how to, and then, they're able to get a new kitchen or to send their kids off to college with that equity. And it's a rewarding part of the business for sure.
best part. And then it's like starting in subprime. I think every loan officer should start in subprime
Yeah.
because we had to learn how to fix credit.
Yeah.
We had to learn how to do alternative trade lines. We had to learn
Sell high rates,
everything.
points, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not hard to sell a higher rate when you explain to them the risk layers in their file.
Right.
Okay, listen, your debt ratios are 56%.
Yeah.
You're in an 80% loan to
You
value.
didn't pay your Nordstrom card.
You've got a mortgage late within the last 12 months. You know, these are all things that we can work on over time.
Yep.
And I'm going to be here to help you chip away at that rate. But for right now, this is what we can do. We can get you into this property. You have an appreciating asset. At the end of this 1 year period, you'll be in a better position and you'll have gained X amount of dollars in equity.
Yeah.
So when you can come to them from that place of education, again, to what we were talking about earlier, it is a game changer. They don't care about the rate, because it doesn't matter what somebody else quotes them if they can't close it.
Right.
Right? It's a fake rate.
Right.
Fake news. So if someone quotes, 5% and you're quoting 7%, if they can't close that 5%, it's not worth the breath,
True.
And so having them understand that through explanation of all this is important. But unless you do understand it, like when you started in subprime and learned all those tricks and things that you need to do, it wouldn't be a quiver in your cap, right?
100%.
So yeah, everyone should do subprime.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more effort. You have to put more effort in, and you have to do those little letters. You have to work with them on all these different things, and but it is more rewarding for sure. You shouted out some people already.
Yeah.
So, and did you have any mentors or anyone that helped you throughout the business that you want to shout out to? Or
I have so many mentors. I feel like there's so Brian Pendleton is a very good friend of mine and a client, and he had a huge company called Cause Force, which he sold, and I would watch him as a 20-something in West Hollywood and be like, oh wow, you're what I want to be. I want to do this. I want to grow in business. I want to be successful. And a lot of other people my age running around West Hollywood were at after hours parties and doing this and doing that. I was never that guy. And so seeing him be there at that point, I was like, okay, so I can do this and it's attainable. And he took me under his wing and he showed me okay, this is how you talk to people. This is what you do. This is the. And he's always been a huge supporter of my mortgage practice as well. Call Skooter. He's the best. So
that's cool.
And that's how I met my accountant, who's another one of my mentors.
That's cool.
He is the funniest, smartest, most amazing, wonderful human, Dennis. And Dennis is principal of Duban Accountancy. He is like Rain Man for taxes.
Nice.
And most people that aren't my age are not going to get that reference. But he is he can look at anything and figure it out in seconds. And I've had him review tax returns for clients for 3 years, their new clients that I just referred them, and save them $250,000 that their other people missed,
Wow.
And time and again, he always comes through and he's always responsive. And other CPAs, when you need a letter written or whatever, they're like, I can't do that. I'm on vacation, or, they push it, but he always finds a way. And that's why his clients love him.
That's good.
So as an example in business, I would say him. And also when you're young, you fire off emails.
You do. Yeah. Oh shit, I shouldn't have sent that.
Yeah, that's right. And so he taught me how to be a wordsmith and give bad news in a way that people can take and not walk away hating you. So
that's good.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Awesome, man. Well, this has been fun. How do people find you online?
Instagram is pretty easy, at Scooter Leone. It's Scooter with a K, because I always have to be different. Or my website, ubaldoleone.com. My phone number is on that, so you can give me a call anytime. I'm happy to help, and we got a whole team 24 hours a day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I know you've got
great.
a lot of people on your roster, so you're the best.
Thank you. And everybody watching, thanks for watching, and go follow Skooter here, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Oh, and share this episode, please.
Yes.
Helps us grow.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Thanks.
The $1 Million Mortgage Experience Podcast.